What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It is your boy Hank McCoy bringing you another beat making tutorial session. In this session, what I'm going to do is talk about 5 things that you don't want to do when you're making a beat. All right. Before I get to that, I just want to remind you that I do have a 5-week tutorial series where I take you through my entire process from A to Z on how I make a beat. And I'll just walk you through all my steps, the tips and tricks that I use, how I find samples, where I go to get unlimited samples, how I chop them, how I draw inspiration from other places, all that in a 5-week series. And every week you'll get between 3 to 5 videos of me walking you through my process and different different beat making styles and so on. So if you want to check that out, click the link in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe to this video so that you can get more content like this in the future. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. So I'm going to give you my 5 things not to do when making a beat. I did make a list, so I'm going to be glancing at the list from time to time. Just want to let you know. Number 1 is you don't want to do these things when you're making a beat. 1 is don't clutter your beat. Okay, don't clutter it. Now, I'm going to play something for you. This was a beat that I made already, and or part of it. I'm going to just play it back. All right, so it sounds pretty good, right? So part of the reason why it sounds good is because I've given it enough space to do it at once. Now, I'm going to actually show you kind of, because sometimes beats can have too much going on in them. So I'm going to add in another component, and just to kind of see and show you that when you add more, you'll get more sometimes. But let's just go ahead and put that in there. Okay. I don't know if it was on mute or what. There it goes. All right. So, it doesn't sound bad. It sounds pretty good. All right, and sometimes but let's just say for the sake of argument, I'm not going to use this MPC here, but let's just say for the sake of argument, I wanted to go in and drop something else in there. So just because I'm going to drop another arcade in there. All right, I'm going to just grab something randomly. Majesty. All right. All right, so you get the point, right? Doesn't sound as good. All right. So really, my point for making that one is, number 1, don't clutter your beat. All right. Kind of get an idea of what you have, where it is, what can add to it, and then go from there. All right. Sometimes it's less is more, as they say, and you don't need it cluttered. Just let it breathe. If you got a good drum sequence, you got a few elements that are complementing each other, then boom. Sometimes people just keep adding, oh, let me add one more. And that's really the seduction of making beats. And I heard Alchemist say this the other day, is at what point is it finished, right? At what point is it finished? And at some point, it's like your baby. At some point, you got to let it go. You got to give it to the artist, or you got to be like, all right, this one is complete. I'm moving to the next one. Or you might just want to give yourself some space from it so that, you can come back to it with some fresh ears and you can then recreate. Let's go on to number 2. All right. Number 2 is don't always make your beats the same way. All right. Now, let me show you one of the ways people do that sometimes. And it could be something as simple as, if you go into your quantize You see here for Abelton, if I go under quantize, I actually start out with no quantize. You see, well, I don't know why it's jumping around like that, but you can see no quantize is highlighted there. All right. Play around with this stuff, see what quantized levels work better for you. This is how you learn. This is how you grow. And until you go back and then you adjust your quantize, you're not going to know. So let's say I wanted to quantize this, right? I just highlight this track here. I go under create or edit, I'm sorry. And then you go under, where is it? It should be quantize settings. All right. So it's not going to, maybe because I don't have anything highlighted. Okay. So under edit, then quantize settings, you see it's no longer grayed out. I can click on that. So you got a 1/16, you have 1/8, 1/4, you got triplet. Just play around with it. All right. Worst case, you just set it back to 1/16, and then you can also adjust the amount of quantize. All right. Sometimes on the track, you might quantize it at 52%. Sometimes you might quantize it at 32%. Just play around with it. Sometimes you might quantize it at 100%. Now that's going to make it very mechanical, but maybe you only do that for your hi-hats and not for the rest of your track, right? Your hi-hats will hit at 100% quantization, but maybe on your drums, you do your drums on a separate track and you only do those at 35 or 50 or whatever you go with. So don't always make your beats the same way. So that can work with quantize. I'm just looking at my notes. Also with your chops, that's one of the reasons why I like Serato sample, because you can chop them up in different ways, right? Sometimes you might want to make your beat in Serato sample. Other times you might want to be like, you know what? I'm gonna pop this MPC software open and I'm gonna give that one a go, right? And then you start chopping it up in here, and then you see what combinations you could come up with, right? Maybe you take the sample and you put it in your MPC and you chop it up, and then you also make another track with Serato sample and you put it in that, and then the same sample though, and then you see what you can do between the two. Maybe you make one sequence with the MPC, the next sequence with Serato sample, just to give it a different feel. Don't always do it the same way. Be open to different ways. Let me see, what other notes do I have? Also, the same effects. You don't always want to use the same effects on all your tracks because it's going to make it sound the same. And don't always use the same drums. If you get your samples from the same place, let's say you go to Machine Masters, right? I'm giving another shout out. If you go to Machine Masters and get your drums, check out the different libraries that they have, right? Maybe you use these drums for these types of sounds, right? Maybe you use these certain drums for your trap beats. You use these drums more for your old school hip hop beats. Your R&B beats or songs, you use these types of drums, and you just, you kind of have to be able to pull from different things to be able to, or your different kits to be able to make what you need. All right. So that's number 2. Number 3, don't always stay within the same, what did I write here? Tempo. All right. Now, usually like the old school hip hop or standard hip hop, you're going to be within like the 90 to maybe like 100 range, right? 100 BPMs. Sometimes you got your trap beats, you gotta raise that thing up. So let's see, trap beats are usually between like 110 to like 117. Let's do that with this one. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna increase the tempo. So that doesn't work for this because this is more of like an old school hip hop type beat. Now for making trap beats, your drums are going to be different. You're going to put them in at different places, right? You almost slow the beat down with your drums, and then you pick it up with whatever melody that you're playing over those drums. All right. So this is more of a, so at like 90, 93 or whatever, this is good for that, right? So just switch it up, right? Sometimes artists want faster rhythms. Sometimes they want slower rhythms. You got to talk to your artists and see what they like and build around what they like. All right. So that is number 3. Yeah. So adjust your your tempo and your BPMs for different beat types. Number 4, don't always sample the same types of samples. One of the things that I notice on YouTube a lot, and not knocking anybody for what they do, but there's a lot of jazz samples that people use, a lot of soul samples. I love those. I do. But I think they can add a part to your collection, but your full body of work, you want to have variety. And I think this is where people draw inspiration from other places. Like if you listen to a lot of Swiss beats, old beats from back in the day, you know, he would have samples from like Asian samples in there. He would have movie scored samples in there. He might have some music like from Native American culture in there. I'm trying to look, what else do I have? Spanish. I've made some beats off of some Spanish samples. And again, stuff like this is what I talk about over in my course too, how to get different samples from different places and how to then chop them up, create them and make them your own, right? You recreate them to be your own. You can also build your own samples. You can do that in Arcade. You can literally take different elements within Arcade and you can lay out a track and make your sound, and then you lay a sound over that or whatever, and then you can chop that up and make your own sounds. But you want to do these types of things because it's going to add depth and variety to what you do and also to your sound. So when you're making the beats, people are like, wow, I never heard anything like that before, right? And that's because you created it. So just be open to that. Don't always try to sample jazz beats. Now, jazz beats are easy to make. They are, you know, the jazz sound is just somebody playing an instrument or a few instruments. You got horns and different elements, and they sound great. And so when you put them in your MPC or whatever software you use, you chop them up. They just chop with no problem. You don't have to worry about vocals and all that other stuff over top of it. But dealing and wrestling with some of that is part of the process, right? You know, you just have to you have to keep your mind open to it. So don't always sample the same types of sounds. Be open to different types of music. All right. And then the last one I have here is don't get caught up in shiny object syndrome. All right. If you're not familiar with that term, basically shiny object syndrome means that there is a ton of plugins that you can buy. There's tons of mastering equipment that you can get. There's tons of physical equipment, whether you're rolling with the MPD-226 or you got a MPC Touch, you know, I can't even bring it over here. You know, you got an MPC Touch and I don't even know. Here it is. Yeah. It's not on. I don't have it on. I think my mouse is getting caught up. And then I have, you know, devices and things too. But you don't want to get caught up in that, right? Because, and I learned this early on, is that it's really not always about your equipment. It's about you, right? It's where you draw your inspiration from. What's inspiring you to want to produce music, right? I enjoy doing it because I like that creative side of me. I do IT for a living. That's what I do in my day in and day out job. And this allows me to kind of incorporate both of that. I can deal with the technical stuff and I can deal with, hey, what's instrumental? What sounds good to my ears? What sounds good together? And I can be able to take from different parts and then recreate those and make magic, right? That's why I named it MPC Magic, because it's like taking different pieces of something and recreating it in a magical way that it's awesome to hear. So I just want to make sure I don't miss any points. Yeah, I would say to choose 2 to 3 DAWs to work with and plugins that you roll with on a regular basis, and just work with them. Work with them for like 2 or 3 months. Just learn it inside and out, inside and out, inside and out. You know, make beats with it, slow beats with it, make fast beats with it, make trap beats with it, make regular hip hop beats with whatever you want to do. Make your R&B beats, just make all of them and use the same equipment and plugins until you just know it. You got it. And it's just like, it's instinctual for you. When it becomes instinctual, sorry, that means that you have mastered it. All right. And that's what's going to really stand out. So that's how people, when you watch the videos, and that's my next point, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But when you watch these videos and you see how you're like, man, you know, let's say old school Kanye West, and probably now, I mean, Kanye West has done this so long, he could do it in his sleep. But, you know, Kanye West can just take some samples and some sounds, and within 20 minutes, he got fire. Pete Rock, same thing. You know, that dude, he's been rolling with his equipment for decades. So when he rolls that out, for him, that's like his for like an artist, you know, that would be like him bringing out his easel and his paints and just right. And that's what mastery is. We're watching the documentary on Michael Jordan, The Last Dance. That's what's popular right now. And what's so mesmerizing about Michael Jordan is he was just super graceful, powerful, and he just knew the game inside and out. That's because he mastered it. He invested the time, the effort to make it to a point where he could do it literally in his sleep. And that's what you have to do too. You just invest as much time as you can in learning your equipment, being able to get the most out of your equipment. So when you hear a sound or somebody tells you, hey, I want this type of beat, not that type, you can be like, all right, cool. I'll grab, it's like cooking. I'll grab up these ingredients. I'm going to cook them up. All right. So, I would also suggest that you watch videos on how to get the most out of the equipment that you use, whether it's a certain type of plugin that you like, or it's a certain DAW that you use, or a certain type of physical hardware that you're using, like an MPC or you know, whatever samples you're using. Watch videos on other people and how they do what they do. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you new ideas. It's going to inspire you to be better. Right. And also watch videos on people that you don't know and you don't follow. Right. I mean, watch somebody make a video for techno, even if you don't do techno music. You know, I don't have anything against techno at all. But they have a different way that they put their sounds together. So watch videos on that. You can draw inspiration from anywhere. Watch old videos. Watch guys chopping their samples up on what is it, the ASR and the SP and all those devices that they used to use. Watch their process. Watch and then listen to them. Listen. What are they telling you? How are they thinking about solving these problems? All right. So those are my 5 steps. I'm going to give them to you and recap. I'm going to read them off my list. Don't clutter your beats. Let the beat breathe. All right. Less is more. Okay. 2, don't always make your beats the same way. Okay. Variety is the spice of life. Number 3, don't always stay within the same types of tempo. All right. So adjust it. Sometimes you want to be fast. Sometimes you want to be slow. Mix it up. All right. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Salah Remy just NPR on NPR. You can go on YouTube. I just watched it the other day. Salah Remy. He talks about this. He took a sample that was fast and then he slowed it down. And that's where Nas's They Shooting song came from. Made You Look, right? That's where he got that from. Salah Remy, and it was created by NPR. Watch it. Produced by NPR. Number 4, don't always sample the same types of sounds. All right. You want to add variety to your catalog. Okay. Variety is the spice of life again. And then number 5, don't get caught up in shiny object syndrome. Just because the thing is new doesn't necessarily mean it's best or that it's best for you. Right. So evaluate, learn your equipment inside and out, get the most out of it. All right. Just to remind you again, I do have a 5-week video series that's not on YouTube. It's called MPC Magic, where I walk you through my process of beat making from A to Z. And for 5 weeks, I show you my entire process. It's almost like you get an over-the-shoulder view of as I'm making a beat, what I'm thinking and how I do it, where I get my samples from, how I manipulate the samples, how I get everything I want out of them. And that's a 5-week series. I would say in total, it's probably about over 20 videos total. Okay. where I walk you through my process for 5 weeks. If you're interested in that, click the link in the description. Check it out. It's called MPC Magic. I hope that you found this video informative. Please please smash the like button and please subscribe so that when I make future videos, you will be notified and you can check them out and we can continue the dialogue. All right. Again, this is your boy, Hank McCoy. If you need anything, feel free to reach out to me. Until next time, peace.